I'm sure there's a bunch of reptiles you'd never want. These are the ones I'll never get. And I had a list like that too, but it turns out I got all of them. Over the last 6 years, I've made a lot of predictions about things that I would get and things that I wouldn't get. In fact, I've had hard stances on certain species saying that I'll never get them and you probably shouldn't too. So these are the 5 reptiles that I actually did get that I said I never would, and I'll tell you why I got them and if I still have them. Yellow anaconda. Now this was a little bit of a unique one because most animals that I have, I chose to get, right? It was either presented to me or I went and sought it out or I saw it and it caught my eye, something like that. This one was more of a, hey, do you want this animal? The owner of the animal is getting out of the hobby. She just wants it to go to a really good home. She watches your channel. She knows you personally, that sort of thing. So for me, I was always planning on trading this animal or finding it a better home myself or something like that. It was just a, I need this animal gone type of thing. But then I got the animal and I started to kind of develop like this love for yellow anacondas. Now keep in mind, most anacondas, yellow and green. Green are the really big ones. Yellows are still pretty big. They can get, 9, 10, 11 feet, but they're much smaller. They all like water, so they need pretty big enclosures because they need a land area and a water area. And also they're kind of striky by nature. I mean, this is one of those things where I talk a lot about this animal's gonna bite you or whatever. And realistically, there's certain species that are more willing to bite than others. Most of the time, they aren't the most willing to be handled. A lot of the times they're pretty defensive. And that's generally because we get a lot of them out of the wild still. And they don't have that personality. There's just certain animals that have the personality to be more defensive. And a lot of the times it's because of the vulnerability factor. For example, emerald tree boas. I love them. They're great. I've always wanted them, so they won't be on the list. But they have a very vulnerable spine and they don't like to be handled, and they're a arboreal snake. So in general, they are more apt to be striky. That doesn't mean all of them are. Anyway, I'm beating this to death. The point is, this animal, this yellow anaconda that I got, wasn't striky basically at all. We could handle her and she was fine. The problem with anacondas is oftentimes they don't show you they're gonna strike before they do. Sometimes they'll just kind of like side bite you. It's a weird type of thing. It's a weird behavior. Similar to how sand boas strike sideways, well, anacondas will just kind of bite from every angle too. But it was a beautiful animal. I thought she was pretty cool. She's pretty chill. I mean, she was really strong, but she was small. She was still a baby. Even though I really liked the animal, I decided that I wasn't going to keep her. And this is the only one on the list that I don't have anymore, and this is very recent. I just knew I didn't want another 11-foot constrictor. I mean, I love my berms, but I didn't want an anaconda, and that was never the plan in the first place. But to me, keeping yellow anacondas was kind of a gamble. It's not really my personality. I like more risk-free games, and that's why I love today's sponsor, Lots of Slots. Here's the deal. I think casino games are fun, but I don't like wasting my money, and that's where Lots of Slots comes in. With more than 150 free casino slot games, you can get the Las Vegas experience right in your own living room, and you don't have to risk losing a bunch of money. Plus, there's a new slot every single week. Lots of Slots reminds me of like Neopets from back in the day where you get to play fun games like that, but as an adult, the only way you get to do that is with risk. So now I get to relive my childhood in a non-risky way. Plus, if you need a break, you're finished editing your video for the day, or you're on lunch at work, you're on your commute, flip open Lots of Slots, and it doesn't take a bunch of time. You don't have to really get into something. You can enjoy it for 5 minutes or an hour. Plus, if slots isn't your thing, there's a lot of other mini games too. Space Battle, for example. I loved playing pinball when I was a kid on my computer, and Lots of Slots gives you that opportunity again to play pinball like you're on Windows 98 all over again. Plus, right now, if you join Lots of Slots Halloween party on Lots of Slots Facebook page, you get a chance to win $100 worth of perks package. I downloaded the game just to have fun. I started with 10 million coins. I won a couple of jackpots, and now I feel like a real winner, but it didn't really cost me like a real dollar. It's kind of fun. Plus, if you download the game and join just by clicking the link below, you get 20 million free coins, plus, as a Wickens Wicked Reptiles thank you, you get 40 million more. So click the link below for your chance to win tons of free coins and try your luck with Lots of Slots. But all the other animals are different, the ones I plan to keep, including number 4, the animal that I traded back to the original owner, the anaconda, in exchange for. Madagascar Catey snakes. This is a unique one because I've never talked about them on the channel at all before I had them even, but they're amazing. They're really cool. I wish I got the opportunity to see them in Madagascar. I didn't, but I just think they're so unique and interesting. Now, I was a little clickbaity. What I was gonna do is say venomous. I never thought I'd keep venomous, but I do. But technically, these are venomous snakes. These are snakes that are rear fang venomous. So if they were to bite you, it would be about the same reaction as like a hognose snake, like a bee sting type thing. So I didn't want to misrepresent them because they're really cool snakes. They are arboreal and they like to be around water. So what I'm going to do is build a paludarium for them, very similar to the one I'm building right now. Well, I'm building 3 actually. I do need content for my terrarium build channel, which I'm starting next year. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Anyway, I've got the mountain horn dragons and I've got the Pinocchio looking boys, the rhino rat snakes, and I've got these guys and they're all gonna have paludariums and water and height and the whole thing. Usually they're not that easy to handle, but they didn't want to strike at all. They're pretty chill. They're not that fast. They can be, but they're not. Also, some cat eye snakes don't want to be on rodents. They want to eat lizards, where these guys are on rodents, and the person I got them from said that it was no problem. I mean, one's a little bit of a diva to feed, but you just have to take her out of the enclosure, and I'm like, okay, that's no big deal. So if you want to see more of these mad cats, I call them, the Madagascar Catey, sorry, I'm sick, I can't even speak. Madagascar cat eye snakes, let me know. We can do a full video on them if you want. Or rear fang snakes, or just let me know your idea for a video below. Number 3, this one's gonna shock you. I got a veiled chameleon. Okay, listen, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I've been saying mean stuff about this species for a long time. Now, most chameleons I think are really cool. I mean, all chameleons I think are cool. I got the opportunity to go with the Chameleon Academy, Bill Strand, to the land of chameleons, which is Madagascar, and see like 20 something or 30 something different species. It was an eye-opening experience. I loved them. And when I got home, I eventually got a carpet chameleon. Carpet chameleons are very different. They're from Madagascar. They're small. They're beautiful. The problem is I couldn't find one captive bred. I got a wild caught one and she succumbed to parasites. So I decided until I can get another carpet chameleon that is captive, I'm not gonna get any more wild caught stuff. So I was at the reptile store with my wife, and if Trish, she's been on the channel before, she's very open to new ideas, which is great. And she used to have a veiled chameleon, so she wanted another one. And this animal was not free, but basically free. It was a surrender. So it was an animal that was in captivity for a long time, as most veileds are. Usually veileds don't come in wild caught anymore. And veileds aren't from Madagascar, by the way. They're from like Oman in that part of the world, or Oman. I don't want to mispronounce it. So I said, okay, well, if you're going to take care of the thing, and she's been doing a great job. This was 4 months ago, 5 months ago, maybe. So this animal is beautiful, shown in a bunch of videos before. It's a female veiled chameleon named Pedro.
Vote for Pedro.
And if you want to see more, like we do reels about Pedro all the time. Here's our Instagrams if you want to watch. And the reason I didn't want a veiled chameleon is the specialized care. Now, veiled chameleons generally have a pretty easy care requirement in comparison to a lot of other chameleons. Just make sure they have a dripper, they're getting water, they don't drink standing water, or they shouldn't be. If your chameleon's drinking standing water, it's because you're not misting them and giving them a dripper. I'll never choose to do that. This was backed up by every chameleon person that I talked to in Madagascar and Bill Strand himself, by the way. And just in general, I mean, not really my thing, but my wife loves this animal and we have this animal. And if you want to know what the banging is, it's the giant redfoot tortoise that like I always wanted, so they're not gonna make the list, but just chill. Blastoise, calm down. Number 2, dart frogs. Now, if you're newer to the channel, what the heck is this guy talking about? He loves dart frogs. He's got tattoos of dart frogs. Like I have literally multiple tattoos of dart frogs. The reason I said that I would never get one or any of them is because they're just specialized care. And while I was saying that I would never get them, it's the same reason I never got a mandarin rat snake. I've always wanted one. I just didn't have a room that was cool enough to take care of a mandarin rat snake. I never had a room that was cool enough and could keep humidity well enough to keep dart frogs. But this is where I was kind of wrong because some dart frog species, A, can have a little bit higher temps, not high temps, but higher than the mid 70s. And I now have rooms in this house where I can keep the temps where they need to be. When I said I would never get dart frogs, I was at a place where the whole basement was like 90 degrees sometimes because it was an old wartime house and had this, anyway, the whole point was I wasn't set up for it and now I am. And the other thing is I didn't want to deal with fruit flies. Because I thought, okay, fruit flies are gonna get everywhere, and they sort of do, but just you have to learn how to be careful with them. Plus the expense, buying fruit flies all the time can be expensive and annoying, but I now make fruit flies and I literally sell them to other people. So I'm a fruit fly supplier. So I realized quickly a kind of process of how to do it. And also dart frogs just in general, I love to keep. I keep some upstairs in my living room right beside my television, because I love to watch them move around. They're always moving. They're colorful, they're boisterous, they're like Skittles who dance. That's what I always say. Plus, I've always thought they were cool. I've always thought they were cool. I literally have multiple tattoos of a Lucamela dart frog, which is my favorite still. In the enclosure behind me, that big one over there, right over here, there's 16 dart frogs. Now, keep in mind, it's a 1,500 gallon enclosure, so they have like basically 100 gallons each. Because I wanted something on the ground that hops around along with, we'll do a video about that, I promise, it's coming. Anyway, so all the reasons that I didn't want one, I got it because all those reasons changed. I was now able to take care of them properly because I moved to a different house that had a different environment. And I realized that the whole fruit fly thing wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it would be. And number one on the list, Liana geckos. I used to talk about how I never wanted a lychee forever. And this was a misconception that I don't think I perpetuated because I never really talked about the fact that they were bitey or aggressive. Like, I don't think they're aggressive. I would never say that. But oftentimes people think that they're defensive. Now I have two Liana geckos. And the way that I got them is a gentleman who is local to my area wanted some Chihuahua geckos, which I breed. Now, Liana geckos, Chihuahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, and crested geckos are the four main species of New Caledonia gecko, so everyone knows what a cresty is, right? The same place in the world, New Caledonia, that's where lychees are from too. Anyway, I breed Chihuahuas. I had these chewies, they were available for sale. Somebody said, hey, do you want to trade a lychee? And I was doing more research and talking to guys like my friend Diane at Reptiles, who breeds them too, and I kind of realized I was wrong. They're not really bitey. They're not really that defensive. I mean, they can be, but if you work with them, they're really easy to handle. Kind of like a crested gecko, but much bigger, and they feel silky and they feel smooth, and they're just overall really fun. So I said, okay, let's do the trade. I traded two chewies for one lychee because the price difference. I fell in love and immediately knew I wanted another. So then the other day, I went out and got Diane. So I have a female Liana gecko too. So I have a pair. I plan on breeding them. I do think they're one of the best geckos to have, and it's the biggest gecko in the entire world. So the reason I didn't want them is because I had it in my head, something that wasn't true, because I was listening to what people said who were just making videos and talking about it without much experience, rather than talking to people who actually worked with them a lot. So I think this is a problem that a lot of us have, and I know that I don't have Savannah monitors and I talk a lot of crap about them, but I promise you this information is from people who keep them and have kept them for a long time. Anyway, those are the 5 animals that I said I would never get and now have, or 4 that I have and 1 that I gave away. Let me know in the comments section below what you think is the animal that you would never have, or if you have a story like mine, let me know in the comments section. As always, please hit like and subscribe, helps the channel, and the Patreon supporters. Discounts on merch like this Buddy Boys shirt. Also, one-on-ones. I had 4 in a day last week. It was like the coolest day ever. I just got to talk to people about reptiles all freaking day. All that and more for as little as $1 a month, and that's it. I do videos Mondays and Thursdays, so I'll see you in the next one.